Hello guys, how are all of you beautiful people? Hope all of you are doing fine. And yes, this is the next part of Multiverse of Marvel. When a cinephile and an otaku /weeb travels through dimensions and gets a system which can only be described as overpowered but comes with restrictions. At first he was overjoyed with the system but soon realizes that he is in a very dangerous world where his life was at risk all the time. So without any delay, let's start the video. After the trailer went out, John was relieved to see that there was a proper response from the audience and he was looking forward to its release on February of 2010. Before the release, for the post-production, John went to the headquarters. The days of John recently have become boring. Apart from exchanging frequent calls and texts with Emma, he was bored out of his mind. To remove his boredom, he even went to a short vacation in Australia to see if there were any ideas which could boost his yearly fan value earning. But sadly he was stuck. How is the production going on the new superhero movie? John asked Kevin in the meeting. Has there been any problems? No boss, everything is fine. Kevin replied. Boss, after years of animation making, I was thinking if we could make a theme park based on the animated movies. We can buy a huge plot and make theme rides and other attractions, Bob said in a low voice at the end. A Disney park? Sure. Why not, John said without thinking, but then suddenly an idea stuck his head. S***T. How could I forget this? Damn, I have been a dumb guy. John almost shouted. All the people in the room was scared by his sudden outburst. Bob, give me a pen and paper. I will write a new script for you. This upcoming movie will take our company to new heights, John said with confidence. After writing a good few minutes about the general outline of the movie, he gave it to Bob to read. Kevin too joined in reading, and the story surprised everybody as it was totally a new kind of movie. Bob was excited to try this new adventure. Make it done by next year. The VFX must be as realistic as possible. I will give a better, well-written script later. John said and got up for the meeting. John wanted to bring a new and cheap world. But a world that could influence a lot and raise his fan values. He went directly to Stark Tower as he had to do proper rituals for this new world. After arriving, he went to the laboratory where Tony and Bruce were working on new armor. John could already guess what the new armor will be. Tony's armor in Avengers movie, Mark 7. Hey Tony, I need your help. We need to buy an island. John said directly to Tony. Island? What do we need an island for? Tony said skeptically. Bruce too heard about it and joined. Because a new world is going to merge and we can commercialize it. I have already given a movie script to it. People are going to love it. John said with excitement. New world. Like Naruto's. Won't it be dangerous? Tony said. Tony had some fear when it came to Naruto's world. He still didn't have any idea of how he would face the kids level. No Tony, it will be fine. With your help and technology we can control this new world with our own hands. Buy an island which is away from mainland and make sure we have full rights of the island with no country interfering. John said. Sure, but what is this new world about? Tony asked again. A world of dinosaurs. John said with a huge smile. What? Dinosaurs? Won't humanity be in danger due to it? Tony exclaimed. No Tony, the world which the dinosaurs will come from is a modern world. People in that world have made huge advancement in gene technology and were able to make dinosaurs with just using the genes of old dinosaurs and putting it into animals. They made a theme park out of it. We can make one too, John said. From gene technology to making dinosaurs. That's a new idea. Would love to go through this new technology. Tony said with gleam in his eyes. We should make sure that the island is safe. Having a millions years of old era will come with conditions. We will have to balance the ecology, Bruce finally said after listening to the conversation. That is for sure. We will need biologists. If only Bruce Banner was around. I will tell Pepper to do necessary arrangements. I heard there will be a space sci-fi movie soon. Will that world come to? Tony said after calming down. The space movie. Well, not for now, but some random technology might arrive. I will be in the lookout. John said after thinking. The new sci-fi movie was arriving at the end of the year. Tony too was looking forward to any new technology that might arrive, as John suggested. John went back home after discussing the plans for the theme park. Pepper too joined the meeting and everybody pitched their ideas of how to control the dinosaurs and number of people that will be required. Everybody was excited for seeing dinosaurs in real life. Even though John said that it will take quite a bit of time for their merge, almost all were excitedly waiting for it. The Dark Knight was finally released on the 22nd of December, 2009. And everybody known to John was called for the premiere. This time the premiere was held in New York instead of LA. John even invited Emma and the main crew of Harry Potter, but they were busy with their shooting of Deathly Hallows. So they had to reject at the end. John thought it was a pity but didn't pay much heed. Now almost every day he and Emma exchanged video calls. John really felt he was the luckiest person alive, as the relationship between him and Emma was progressing steadily and they actually had many things in common. Tony and Bruce too came for the movie and sat beside him in the theater. The movie began. Several masked men appeared on the big screen, in everyone's field of vision. With a few simple exchanges, everyone knew that this was a group of robbers, and the only person named, the Joker, is the planner of the robbery. In the eyes of other robbers, this was a guy who sat high up. In other words, the clown was not among these people. The robbery went smoothly. Dare to plan the robbery of the gang bank, revealed the madness of the clown. In the process of unlocking. Where is the kid who broke the alarm? Said one robber in clown mask. The boss said, after he got it done, finish him off. One less person to divide the money, right? Said the other guy. It's a coincidence, he said the same to me. What? No. No. Boom. Companions cannibalized each other. Bags of money were taken to the gate. The robber who had killed before took the gun and pointed at the only other accomplice. The clown told you that after the money is filled, you need to kill me. Right. One less person to divide the money, right? No, no, he asked me to kill the bus driver. Bus? What bus driver? As soon as the voice fell, a bus crashed into the bank gate, knocking the talking robber out. This guy looks out of breath, it's time to go. Said the last guy left to the bus driver. What about the rest? The bus driver jumped out of the car and looked around in surprise, not at all ashamed of killing a companion. The remaining robber shot without hesitation and killed the bus driver. Do you think you are smart? Said the bank manager who was shot before because he tried to be a hero. He was laying on the ground unable to move. The people who pay for you will make you end up like them. The former bad guys were very principled, honorable, respectful. Look at you, what do you believe in? Hearing this, the robber looked at the man curled up on the ground, strolling in front of him and squatting down, looking directly into his eyes, and slowly said, "I believe whatever doesn't kill you, simply makes you stranger." He took off the mask, his green hair scattered around his ears, revealing the face of a circus joker. His skin was pale, his mouth was painted with big red lipstick, and the corners of his mouth had deep, knife-cut scars. The Joker appeared. Everyone in front of the big screen was slightly taken aback. Everyone realized that this clown should be the villain that Batman will deal with in The Dark Knight. However, now it seems that the clown does not have any extraordinary abilities. Compared with the previous villain, the Master of Batman, and the Master of Assassins, the Joker is more insidious and cunning, and seems unable to pose any threat to Batman. The long-lost Batman finally came out. In a drugs trade, the Batman in the movie was like a hunter, driving a Batmobile and sweeping all the bad guys. Director Gordon appeared, went to the robbed gang bank, and walked into the vault. After a few words with the assistant, Batman appeared beside them. Gordon sent his assistant away and showed Batman the picture of the Joker. "It's him again." Batman's tone was low. "Who else?" "A gang of mobs," Gordon replied. During their exchanges, another character appeared, the newly appointed prosecutor, Harvey Dent. He and Batman's childhood sweetheart Rachel became a couple. Harvey had always admired Batman and hoped to take this responsibility from Batman. The police and prosecutors seized the bank with traceable banknotes, only to find themselves being mocked. In the party of gangsters, the Joker once again appeared with a proposal but was mocked instead. The guy in charge of money laundering fled back to Hong Kong, and after discussing with Gordon and Harvey, Batman decided to go to Hong Kong to capture this guy. With brand new equipment, jumped from a high building. The hang gliding wings spread out, flying around the building, like a real bat. "Wow, Bruce, you and him have so much similarity with the Batsuit." Tony laughed as he said to Bruce in a hushed tone. Bruce didn't say anything. Finally the Joker took action. The Joker's conspiracy against Batman also began to show up in front of everyone. The body of a man posing as Batman was hung at the window of this office building. At the same time, a video was posted on the internet. "Do you think Batman makes Gotham better? Look, this is how crazy Batman made Gotham. Batman must take off his mask and surrender. As long as he doesn't surrender, someone will die every day. I am a man of my word, ha 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 ha." The audience felt chills when they heard the laughter of the clown. They finally realized the horror of the clown. This was a lunatic who is distorted enough in his heart to completely ignore order and social morality. At the political fundraising party organized by Bruce Wayne about the new prosecutor, Harvey Dent, the Joker appeared again and even had a confrontation with Batman. Under the leadership of the Joker, the villains of Gotham City united, and Batman was gradually forced into desperation. The main theme of this film also began to show up in front of all audiences. In the movie, people realized that power wasn't everything. Some people just wanted to watch the world burn. He was a special villain, not interested in logical things, such as money. Buying, threats, reasoning, and negotiation all do not work. The Joker was just for fun. The appearance of Batman made him feel that he had found the best object of fun. In the movie, Harvey used himself as a bait, hoping to catch the Joker. He succeeded. The Joker was arrested by the police and Batman. Then at night Gordon received a call that Harvey was missing. He immediately went to the prison and found the Joker, and Batman arrived at the same time. Here is what the audience is most looking forward to: Batman and Joker's head-to-head confrontation. You want to see me? I'm here. Batman punched the table in front of the Joker, giving the Joker a warning first. I want to see what you are going to do. You really did not let me down. Batman, you let 5 people die because of you, and then let Harvey Dent take the blame for you. Even in the eyes of people like me, it's too cold-blooded. The Joker was talking, but was forcibly interrupted by the impatient Batman. Where is Harvey? There is no turning back, you changed everything. The Joker laughed, madly. You complete me. Batman asked about the location of Harvey in a threatening voice, and Joker gave a choice of saving Rachel or Harvey. Batman chose Harvey to save while Gordon went for Rachel. But Gordon was not able to save Rachel. Joker in the meantime managed to escape from prison. Harvey, whose half of the face was burnt, was found by Joker and pushed him into insanity. Harvey went insane and started hunting all people who weren't able to save Rachel and who colluded with the gang and did bad things. Even Batman himself crossed ethical lines and hacked into every mobile to find the location of Joker. At the end, Joker played a game again. A choice was given to 2 boats, one with civilian and other with prisoners. They had to blow the other boat with a switch, because if they didn't, Joker would blow them up instead. And Joker for the first time failed to manipulate the people and was caught by Batman. In the other scene, Harvey caught the family of Gordon. When Harvey was going to kill Gordon, Batman came and killed Harvey. We need to say the truth to people of Harvey, Gordon said to Batman. No. Harvey will remain an image of justice. I will bear the burden of crime, Batman said without any hesitation. But you will be hunted down. Gordon said. I am not a hero. I am whatever Gotham needs me to be. Sometimes truth isn't good enough. Batman said and ran away. People finally understood why the movie was named as Dark Knight. He was a force who operated in shadows. People felt sympathy for him. Even Nick Fury and Coulson, who watched the movie, felt bad for Batman. His sacrifices were immense. The credits rolled and soon the post-credit scene came out. It showed present-day Paris, France. A woman walking towards the Louvre Museum while narrating from background. I used to want to save the world, this beautiful place. But I was naive. The closer you get, the more darkness you will see. As the woman entered her office, a black suitcase arrived with Wayne Enterprises written in bold characters on it. She opened the suitcase to see a very old picture. The picture had 4 soldiers standing side by side in a damaged battlefield. And then there was a woman standing in the middle. The thing was, the woman in the picture looked exactly the same as the one holding the picture. She smiled after seeing the picture. The audience understood that Batman knows this mysterious woman, but the people didn't understand why these 2 women look the same. Tony looked at Bruce for a few seconds and said, "You know this woman?" Bruce didn't reply to Tony but asked John, "Is she coming?" "I don't know. I just saw her in my dreams. I have no idea if she would be transferred," John said. Bruce didn't say anything to it but remained silent and closed his eyes as if thinking of something. The movie got a standing ovation. This was a movie which didn't hesitate to show how society treated superheroes when something went wrong. The movie was based on a bold theme and made people realize that being a hero comes with responsibility. Nick and Coulson approached John after they came out. They wanted to know if this woman will appear. John answered the same as he had done to Bruce. John didn't want to reveal too much of his powers. Too much revelation would be prone to mistakes. He wanted to keep a sense of mystery. I want to know more of this character, Fury said at the end as he felt he needed to know more about this woman. Why in a hurry? Even if she comes, it will be in much further in the future. You will know her from the movie, John said. Nick could always pressurize John for more information, but he didn't want to. He even didn't put any spy in Disney. John had always said he has glimpses of future in his dreams in other universes. He didn't want to take any risk and maintain a goodwill. They went back after the movie ended and John received a message while riding Bumblebee. How was the movie? Sorry I couldn't attend the premiere. John just smiled after reading and replied, it's fine. I will come for the Deathly Hallows Part 1 premiere though. Reserve a seat for me. Sure, Emma replied with a smiley face. The months went by gradually after the release of the movie. The movie earned a lot in box office and was critically acclaimed with a very rating. Even though it didn't much boost his fan values by much as it was only a Batman movie, but this movie was necessary for his future plans and appeal to the public. Almost a year had gone by after the Dark Knight movie. Disney had scheduled 3 movies at the end of the year. So there was a lot of work for John in the following months. In the meantime, Tony, with the help of Pepper, had already bought a big island in the Caribbean Sea and made sure no country nearby could touch his property. Of course, John too invested money in it. It was an easy cash grab anyway. Soon the first movie of the 3 was released in late October. It was a space sci-fi movie. In a futuristic world where mankind has conquered the known universe, it was ruled by an emperor and had various houses spread across the universe helping the emperor maintain peace and order. Mankind used a thing called spices to travel across galaxies, and this spice was only available in a single planet. Before, the planet was under a different house and suddenly the emperor decided to change the house. Basically it was a political plot. John shot this movie for its shield technology. Apparently anything with high velocity couldn't penetrate the shield, be it a bullet or a missile. Yes. The movie was Dune. John wanted this technology for protection from possible assassinations later. Much later he might even think of bringing out their spaceships by spending fan values. The movie premiered and people loved the movie. American people had a deep love for drama and political plots, and this movie basically had everything. Ding. Total fan value, 1.2 billion. Fan value required to bring House of Atreides to life, 1 billion. Fan value required to bring House of Harkonnen to life, 1 billion. Fan value required for shielding technology, 400 million. Thank God there is a shielding technology, otherwise I would have to spend $1 billion for a stupid technology. Still it's 400 million. 1 year of savings will be gone. Well, I hope it will be worth it. Extract the shielding technology, John said after seeing his panel. Jurassic Park World will cost me another 100 million. Sigh. If this goes on I will be broke soon. After the movie, John followed Tony to Stark Tower. He needed Tony to research on shielding technology. Bruce has a home now in New York, thanks to his shares of Stark Industries that John shared with him. Bruce, who came to the movie, also came to Stark Tower with them as John asked for it. John, after reaching to Tony's place, said while bringing out a memory stick, "I have the shielding technology in this stick. I want both of you to research, but on conditions," John said. Tony almost jumped in his seat when he heard it. Bruce too had a rare interested face when he heard it. "What condition?" "I can give away half my shares if you give me this stick," Tony said with excitement. John shrugged his head and said, "No. I want only you both to research on it. Nothing of the data will be placed in a server which can be accessed by internet. Even Jarvis can't get access to the data. All the shielding equipment will not be mass-produced until I say so. John said. Ha! No access. You think somebody will hack into Jarvis and steal it again? Tony asked. John didn't say anything and looked at him. Okay, fine, I accept the proposal. Now give it to me. It will be weird going old school on such a high technology. Bruce, this will need your help. Tony said. By the way, the Jurassic World is coming soon. Next month I will guide them to the island from my dreams. You will have to take care of the rest. Are all the cages and personnel ready? John asked. Yes. You can send them. I won't be attending the premiere for the Jurassic Park movie. I will be there on Jurassic Park to see firsthand the dinosaurs. I hope they won't be late after the movie is released, as I have work to do. Tony said as he too named his island as Jurassic Park. Sure. Even I won't be there in the premiere. I will travel to London next month. John said as he promised to be there for the premiere to Deathly Hallows. He was excited to see her again after a long time. Soon Tony and Bruce started working on the shielding technology. And John left for his home and gave the other two space to work on the new technology. After a couple of weeks, John got ready to go to London. As B landed on the airport from his private plane, he saw Emma waiting for him. He was delighted to see her. He came down and hugged her, saying, "You look as lovely as ever." "Thank you. You look great too." "How was the flight?" Emma asked. "It was fine. Slept all the way." "Let's go to the hotel," John said. After they went to the hotel, John freshened up and was ready to go out. Emma had decided to go for a small tour around London, showing him this historic city. John too followed her. They had a great time together and the tour ended with a fine dinner in a restaurant. This was their first official date and John had booked a great restaurant which had privacy. Even though he was sure he had been taken pictures of during his tour of the city, he still wanted privacy when it came to the date. They had a great talk during the dinner date and had fun. John and Emma both felt very happy about their first date. They both had so much to talk that they passed more than 3 hours in the date. "It must be fun having superheroes as friends," Emma said. "Actually no. They are just normal people with weirder past. Nothing much," John said. "Can I meet Bruce one day? He looks so cool in the movie," Emma asked with expectation. "Bruce? Sure. I trust you, so he will be fine with it." Emma was really happy when she heard that. After the dinner, John left for the hotel with Emma. The hotel was cozy and John had booked a presidential suite. He took her to his room and had the night to remember for both John and Emma. It was the first of such night for John, as he never had any relationship with anyone in this world. The next day they went for the premiere. Of course they didn't go to the premiere together, as both of them felt that it would be too soon to show their relationship in public, even though there was a gossip now in the media. In the meantime, Jurassic Park was already released and this time too people loved it. But what came as a shock to people that the Jurassic Park actually existed. Tony uploaded a video of him showing around Jurassic Park in the internet. "Welcome to Jurassic Park. I don't think I will have to explain what Jurassic Park is. The movie by my friend John is explanatory enough. If you and your family needs a vacation that you can remember for lifetime. If you want to go for an adventure with your girlfriend. This is the one. Come to Jurassic Park. And don't worry about the safety reasons. Stark Industries will provide state-of-the-art security for it. Tony gave a long speech. Soon the respective media channels inquired about the authenticity and asked for access to the park. They were given permission without any hindrance. Within a week this caused an uproar in the world. Everybody wanted to visit this island and they were ready to spend money for it. John insisted on keeping the ticket price as minimum as possible as he didn't want money from it. And only reasonable price will appeal to the people and help him getting more fans. This boosted his fan values by a lot. He earned more than 100 million fan values within a month. Even Emma was interested in it. John promised to take her to it after she becomes free from the Harry Potter series. The premiere for the Harry Potter went well, but the reporters who saw him in the premiere only asked questions about Jurassic Park. John got shy about it because he felt this was the platform of Harry Potter, not Jurassic Park. So he replied only one answer and escaped from them. The movie was exactly the same as his previous life, so he knew the whole plot. After staying in London for 2 more days, John returned to New York. He was little sad of leaving Emma, but he knew this was temporary. It was late December when the last scheduled movie was supposed to be out. This movie was his tactics of managing the plot of Thor. Even though he could bring Naruto's world and deal with it, but he wanted to keep Naruto hidden for now. Only during New York War he will show a glimpse. John understood that if he showed his hand too much, Thanos might accelerate his plans. He didn't want any such intervention now. He wanted to follow the original plot and become powerful enough to overthrow gods. Only then he could be at peace and show all his hands. The movie premiered on the 15th of December at New York. Everybody came to attend the movie, including Coulson and Nick. The movie started with the same scene as was in the post-credits scene of Batman, she being in the office of Louvre Museum and seeing a very old photo. But this time there was a scene where there was a note attached to it written, "I found the original. Maybe one day you will tell me the story. No wonder you never told me anything about the story. You yourself don't know." Tony laughed at Bruce, who sat beside him, and John. Bruce shrugged but didn't say anything. The story told about a small girl living in an enclosed island where only women lived in it, which was protected by the magical enchantment of Zeus. The story told about gods and mankind and their struggles in facing Ars, the god of war. Gradually, the small girl grew up among the women, but she knew she was little bit different from other women. One fine day, an airplane crashed near the island and this woman named Diana Prince went in, saved the man who crashed with the airplane. The airplane looked like it belonged to World War I. He was the daughter of Zeus and killed her brother. John made sure to even copy the music from the original movie and added into it. The audience loved the movie, but they weren't sure how Batman was involved in this. Gods. Are they real? Tony said at the end. Very real, Tony. Very much real. John said. How is the shielding technology progressing? John added, changing the topic. I hope we don't have enemy among gods like ours. It won't be good. The technology will take some time, but I am optimistic about it. Tony said solemnly. The credits rolled and soon the post-credits scene came out. It showed a man in a plane fighter suit on a simulated environment. The pilot was conducting dangerous maneuvers which ultimately led to the crash of the plane. But since it was a simulated environment, nothing really happened. But as he was going out of the room where he was doing his practice, he saw he was no longer in the place he was supposed to be and was instead flying in air along with the room. The whole boundary of the room was covered in green. The room along with him inside flew to a certain location. There was strange alien-looking man lying blood in a green suit. "You really do know everything about us," Bruce said after looking at John. John just smiled and said nothing. "Wait, there are aliens in your world." Dios mio. If God wasn't enough, there are aliens too, Tony said. They all came out after the movie ended. Nick didn't say anything to John but instead asked Coulson to research on theology. Coulson wanted a proper knowledge on all gods in all religious beliefs. The existence of gods in another universe made him believe that there might be gods in their own universe. The movie was critically acclaimed too, as it was the first movie to show a woman as a superhero. This was a refreshing take over the fact that only men could be superheroes in movies. John got quite a decent amount of fan values out of it. Ding. Total fan values, 1 billion. Fan value required for bringing the character Wonder Woman to life / changing to the character, 210 million. Extract the character, John commanded. Ding. Character extracted. Remaining fan values, 800 million. The stage is set. In a few months Thor will enter Earth. Odin, you are really not good in educating children, John thought as he was driving home. How was the response? Was it good? Came a text. It was great. Should have let you be the heroine. Might have been better. Next premiere you are coming with me. John replied back. She immediately video called and had a chat with Emma. John spoke happily with her as he reached home. Soon the months went by as John accumulated more fan values thanks to movies, anime, cartoons and of course the new attraction, the Jurassic Park. It catapulted his fan values to 550 million per year. John even kept tabs on Dr. Jane Foster, Dr. Eric Selvig and even found out information on Darcy Lewis, the intern of Jane. By April of 2011, John got the information from Fixit that Jane had traveled to New Mexico. Even though he didn't spy on them, he did have the itinerary of them. He got ready to go to New Mexico as he wanted to see the promised prince himself. John soon reached Point Antiguo, the town where it all started for Thor and Jane. He didn't know if Thor had reached or not, but he had started visiting every diner from morning to evening to check if Thor, Jane and others visited. He even checked hospital to see if Thor was there but still couldn't find. It went on for 4 days before finally in a morning he saw Jane, Thor, Darcy and Dr. Eric coming inside the diner. Thor looked more handsome in real life than in the movies. John felt sadness when he looked at Thor. The supposed king lost his all in his journey. His mother, his father, his brother and even Asgard. No wonder he went to depression by Avengers: Endgame. John hoped to change some of his future. As John was thinking of all this, Thor and others had started eating. It was astonishing of how Thor could eat in one sitting. As he was eating, Thor spoke about Asgard, Bifrost and other things. Of course they didn't believe him. But Jane kept looking at him. She was already smitten by Thor. John smiled to himself because he too probably has the same look as her when he sees Emma. After Thor made the famous scene of smashing the cup he was drinking, more customers came and started speaking of a satellite. Jane inquired about this crashed satellite and found out that there was a crashed satellite 50 miles west. Thor immediately got ready to go out. The others followed out. John too followed them as he needed to insert himself. As Thor wanted their help to take him to the crashed satellite, Eric took the other 2 girls aside and said, Please don't do this. You saw what I saw. We need to find out what's in that crater. Jane refuted. He is delusional. Listen to what he is saying. He is talking of Mjolnir, Thor and Bifrost. It's the stories I grew up as a child. He is dangerous. Eric said. John finally couldn't hold it and inserted himself. He isn't delusional. Whatever he says is 100% real. You are. Eric suddenly became defensive. Even Thor, who was listening to the conversation, looked at John with curiosity. Hello, I am John Jameson. It's nice to meet you, Dr. Eric, Dr. Jane and Darcy. John said. Oh my God. You are that John? Are you for real? Darcy almost screamed. Yes, I am as real as I can be. Hello, Thor Odinson, it's not every day I get to meet a prince. John said. It seems like you know me quite well. Thor said with little curiosity, as this new person must have followed him, knew him and even believed him, while the other three never believed any words of him from beginning. John just smiled to it. We should go to this crater. Many of your questions will be answered. Don't worry, Dr. Selvig, the people who took over the crater are my friends. They won't stop or harass us. John said. Darcy and Jane were delighted. Darcy felt that this was her ticket to get to know a ultra-rich guy and maybe take a leap in her career, while Jane felt that many questions would be answered. Eric finally gave in to persuasion. They decided to take their truck to the crater. As Thor and everybody went back to take their crater, they saw men in suit taking away stuff from the lab of Jane. Hey, you can't take this. These are all mine. Jane shouted. Maybe it was his butterfly effect, but the person who came to take away Jane's belongings wasn't Coulson but Sitwell, an agent of Hydra. Sorry. I am Agent Sitwell from S.H.I.E.L.D. We are investigating a threat, we need to appropriate and record all your data. Sitwell replied. It was John this time who replied. Agent Sitwell, where is Coulson? You are John Jameson. Hello, Mr. Jameson. It's nice to meet you. But we need to take the equipment for security reasons. Sitwell said after recognizing John. John was famous all over the world, so most agents knew about him. It's just very few people knew about his consultant status with S.H.I.E.L.D. I know who you are. Call Coulson. It's rude to take others' stuff without getting a permission. Even if it's S.H.I.E.L.D. John said with authority. We have orders from Superior to take away the belongings. Even Coulson won't be able to stop this, Sitwell said, getting a little annoyed this time. He didn't expect to see such a big player here out of nowhere. It made him more suspicious of the things Jane had now. He wanted to retrieve all the things more urgently now. Superior. Do you want me to call Fury? I am sure he will be delighted to receive a lawyer's call due to the ignorance of an agent. John said with a smile. Sir, you can't do this. S.H.I.E.L.D. has authority and power to confiscate anything that might be a threat to Earth. Sitwell was more adamant now to take away the things. So Fury it is then. John said as his hands went to his pocket to bring out his mobile. As soon as he did that, the agents around who were looking at him took out their guns and pointed at him. Everybody got scared by this move except for Thor. Thor didn't have a notion of guns from Earth and he felt no weapon of Earth could threaten him. John raised his eyebrows when he saw this action. Sitwell, you and your agents should lower your guns. I don't like being threatened. John said in a cold tone. His expression showing no fear whatsoever. Eric took both the women behind him. Eric knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. was a big thing, but he also very well knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't be stupid enough to shoot at John. S.H.I.E.L.D. won't be able to cover up if anything happened to John. Sir, you should allow us to do our jobs. It will be better that way. Sitwell replied with a smile. Sigh. What a headache. John said with a bland tone. As soon as he said that, a shining long rope tied around Sitwell, making Sitwell stiff in his place. The agents got frightened by this action and turned their head towards the direction from where the rope came from, only to see a woman in a red golden armor walking towards them while holding the rope. She had metal bands in her feet, hands and even on her head, which was in the shape of V. All the agents trembled in their feet as they recognized who she was. S.H.I.E.L.D. had a policy to watch all works of John, so that if someday they cross path in the future with some of the characters of John's works, they would be able to take proper action. The agents knew who they were facing against. A demigod. Daughter of Zeus. As the agents were pointing the guns at Diana, she walked towards them. One agent finally couldn't hold it together and shot at her. Diana deflected the bullet by her bangle easily. All agents immediately knew that she was the real deal. Some agents started firing at her. She ran fast towards the agents and started knocking them out. Her attacks were powerful but not fatal enough to kill them. The agents couldn't even respond properly as she was too fast and bullets were always deflected by her bangles. Thor and others were astonished by seeing her. Jane and Eric didn't even know who she was. Only Darcy knew, as she was a big fan of superhero, but she couldn't believe that such a character was real. The notion of a demigod shook her beliefs. Though Eric and Jane knew about Batman, they didn't have much interest as they were scientists and superhero genre weren't up their alley. Even though Thor lost his powers, but he could feel that this woman was powerful. For the first time there was seriousness in his face. Sitwell was still stuck in the lasso of truth and standing still. When he saw Diana knocking out everybody, his eyes went wide. He knew he was done for. All he could pray was that she wouldn't kill her. John didn't even look at Sitwell and others but said to Diana, who came towards him slowly. How was the journey? Lot of bumps on the way. No, it was fine. Took me time to realize where I am. Saw Bruce on a poster. And me too. Felt a similar power to my world here, so wanted to pay a visit. She replied. John smiled to that. He wanted to give vague hints to the agents, who didn't shoot at her, by this conversation in order to misdirect them. The other agents who were trembling on their knees heard their conversation. Since John had lied from beginning, John needed to maintain that lie onward. John took out the mobile and called Coulson to come to his location. Coulson was surprised that John was in New Mexico. He immediately left from the base near the crater. Truth to be told, John really wanted to kill Sitwell and other Hydra agents here. He was angry with them pointing guns at him. But John also knew if does this, it would complicate things and Hydra might just hide away forever. Pierce wasn't the problem was the other heads of Hydra. It would then take forever to search for them. After few minutes Coulson reached only to see few agents standing beside and Sitwell tied in a shining rope. When Coulson saw Diana he recognized her immediately. He knew that something happened between Sitwell and Diana and he needed to remedy the situation carefully or he might have to listen to Fury. Hello John, can I know what happened? Coulson asked as he saw Sitwell tied in a rope and many agents lying on the floor unconscious, some were even bleeding. He knew this was bad news. Agent Sitwell threatened me with a gun and so did all these agents. Diana was passing by, so she taught them a lesson. John shrugged. Coulson's heart skipped a beat. Even though John never said anything and was almost invisible to all, but Fury had once told him that John was the most dangerous, as he might be hiding more characters behind him. It was fine if it was from John's works, but if some characters who S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't know had already entered and had contact with John, it might be very dangerous. The existence of Naruto's world itself was like a sword pointing at them. He didn't want to make a potential superpowered enemy out of John. Actually, it wasn't the total fault of cinephile. He didn't know the consultant position of John. This secret was only accessible to level 10 agents and Coulson. So basically he was just following orders, it's just that he didn't think properly before threatening John. What the hell, cinephile? Do you even know who you are threatening? Do you want S.H.I.E.L.D. to be on the verge of destruction? Coulson shouted. Cinephile just stood by and kept his head down. He knew he made a huge mistake. He might even be reprimanded by peers. Hydra still wasn't powerful enough to show its face, and making an enemy out of a demigod was a huge mistake. Miss Diana Prince, hello, I am Agent Coulson. I am really sorry for my colleague's behavior. I hope you can leave him. Coulson said to Diana politely. Diana looked at Coulson for a few seconds and then looked at John. John nodded his head. She loosened her lasso and took it back. Cinephile fell down from his standing position sweating. If before she didn't believe in gods, now he definitely believed. He thought only Naruto's world was special, but now he had changed his mindset. Being bounded by the lasso almost made him like a statue, and he couldn't do anything, not even move an inch. Thank you, Miss Diana. I am an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is responsible for any extraordinary threats faced by Earth. I hope we can cooperate in the future. Coulson continued. Diana didn't reply to that. Eric and everybody who were watching was very confused. They didn't understand what was going on. John finally said we should all sit down and talk. The equipment that were supposed to take away was returned, and Jane was happy about it. Finally they all sat down, including Thor, even though he wanted to go and take the hammer away. John convinced him that after the talks they will go for his hammer. John introduced Diana to Eric and Jane and explained them about her origin. They were dumbfounded as they couldn't believe that the gods were real. Then they looked at Thor and remembered what John said at the beginning about Thor not being delusional. You are really Thor? Then why aren't you powerful? Darcy couldn't help but ask with skepticism. Mortal. How dare you say that? I am a god, I was born powerful. Thor roared. Coulson, who did recent study on theology, understood who Thor was. The god of thunder from Norse mythology. The hammer in the crater probably belonged to him, but he couldn't understand why was the weapon so far away from him. And John hadn't made a movie out of Thor, so it meant that the Norse mythology already existed from in this universe since ancient times. After seeing so many weird things, Coulson accepted this new information with open arms. He just felt Earth was vulnerable and needed more protection. So Thor, you have heard about Diana. What do you think? Are there really gods in this realm? Thor with curiosity now, as he heard saying Diana was a daughter of a god. I have never seen myself as a god. Maybe a powerful being. But never thought myself as a god. Neither are you, Thor. Diana replied. Thor was stunned by this, but he didn't know how to answer. Odin too used to say the same thing but never paid attention to it. Thor wanted to know about Diana, but he needed to take up his hammer. It's fine, Diana. Thor, you can ask about Diana later. Shall we go now? Thor is already fidgeting to get his beloved hammer back. John said as he got up. They went in the car of S.H.I.E.L.D. and traveled towards the crater. Jane was excited about it. She saw her whole perspective of world change and wanted to know more about Thor, and it added to the fact that she was smitten by Thor. Jane and Thor talked along the way. John was happy to see it as he felt the universe corrected itself here in this regard. They reached the destination and Thor went in immediately. We all should take shelter. It's going to rain soon. John said as he saw Thor almost running towards the direction of the hammer. Soon there was an electromagnetic surge from the hammer as Thor came near. He was happy to see his hammer again. He then proceeded to lift the hammer. But no matter how he tried, he couldn't. John and everyone looked at Thor as he was getting drenched in the rain. Hello Clint, I heard you went to that world. How was the experience? John said as he saw Hawkeye from the corner of his eye. You know me. Clint was surprised by John's advance. Of course I know. I too have friends there. John smiled at him. Oh, no wonder. It was good. Doubted my own ability for the first time, Clint said with a hint of sadness. John said, ha ha ha. It's fine. You two are powerful. All right, we don't want Thor to get cold. Take him to a secluded room and let him think about his mistakes. Mistakes? Did Thor commit any mistake? Jane was concerned, so asked John. Yes, he did. It's Thor's private matter. You can ask him yourself. For now let him be in silence. John didn't want to intervene the upcoming conversation between him and Loki. It was important for Thor to realize his mistake. Thor was taken away in a room while others went away to another place as John asked them to give him space. As the original plot, Loki did come to meet Thor to say that Odin died due to sadness of Thor's banishment, and there was a truce with Jotunheim on the condition that Thor remained exiled here. Of course it was a lie. As Loki went to meet Thor, John and others were talking among themselves. Eric and Jane asked questions from Diana about gods. Darcy had already told her story to the two scientists, so they were very interested about Diana too. John noticed that Diana flinched for a second. Is he here? John asked Diana. Yes, he is here. Ha! What are you both talking about? Who is here? Jane asked as she heard this conversation. Nothing. Just talking about a friend. John replied, trying to deflect the topic. Is there another person from another universe? Coulson, who too heard their conversation, asked. No. Just a person of interest. John denied it. You will see him when the time is right. Coulson didn't force to know more as it would be useless. So Coulson ordered the agents to be on the lookout for a suspecting individual. John and others stayed in their place as Jane and Eric continued to ask more information. Darcy was more interested in John. Her enthusiasm was too overwhelming even for John, but he was polite as in future she has a role during the event of WandaVision. After few minutes of talking with them, John said, "Let's go to meet him. He might have calmed down now." John said at the end. They went to the room where Thor was staying put while Diana and John went to check Mjolnir to see if Loki was trying to pick up the hammer. As they came to the place that Loki was not there, probably he had already left after trying for few seconds. Loki knew better that no matter how hard he tried he wouldn't be able to lift the hammer if he wasn't worthy. Coulson too followed them after making sure there was nobody was in the premises. John really was amazed by the magic of Loki. His illusions were really powerful as he never got noticed. "Do you want to try picking it up?" John said to Diana. "Sure. Why not?" Diana said, and the next moment she jumped from the ramp towards the hammer. She touched Mjolnir for a few seconds, but there was no reaction. John felt maybe she wasn't worthy, as there was no environmental reaction like the time when Thor tried to lift the hammer. But the very next moment, as she tried picking the hammer, it was easily lifted up. Everybody who was watching her were surprised. All this time almost all agents tried to lift it up but couldn't even move a centimeter, and now there is a woman who could easily lift it up. Coulson was stuck for a second but accepted the fact because he felt only gods can handle other gods. Humans were still weak. "Do you feel anything different?" John asked. "I can now use electricity to fight. But in a more better way than when I fought Oz. This hammer is terribly well balanced," Diana lamented. Heimdall, who just had a chat with the new King Loki, was dumbfounded for a second. It's been years when he started seeing weird beings appearing in Midgard. He even informed Odin about it, but Odin only said not to worry about it. Now he saw a woman who could lift the hammer. He wondered if this woman would be the new Queen of Asgard if she came to claim the throne. Diana looked at the hammer for a few seconds and left it in its place. Coulson was surprised by it and asked, "Don't you want to use it as a weapon?" "Hammer is not my kind of weapon. My lasso is enough. Plus, it belongs to someone else. By the way, don't tell Thor about it," Diana said. Coulson now really appreciated Diana. If what they said was real and this hammer was really very powerful, it was commendable that she wasn't tempted by its power. Then again, she herself was a god with a powerful weapon. After few more minutes of talking and lingering around, Jane and others decided to go back to their place. Thor didn't have a home in Earth, so accepted Jane's proposal of going back with them. John too left with Diana to a nearby hotel, as there would be a fight soon nearby. Even though John won't fight as he didn't want to expose his alchemy powers to S.H.I.E.L.D., but still he would watch it. In the meantime, Sitwell called Pierce and told him about the emergence of Diana and Thor. One Naruto world was scary enough, now there are gods. Sitwell wasn't sure of how to handle it. "Sir, I propose that we should assassinate John. He is a variable for us," Sitwell said. "Are you a fool? The people of Naruto world are dangerous enough. We have tried all means possible to entice, catch and even kill a ninja from their world, but we have been repeatedly unsuccessful for the last year. We aren't even sure if John has other powers except for dreaming. If he has other allies who he hasn't revealed yet, do you think we would be able to survive? Every single character that he has revealed possess extraordinary means. Let the Insight Project come to fruition, only then we could be relieved. Even if we kill millions, the world of Naruto wouldn't have any choice but to cooperate with us, as they need us too for sustenance. About these gods, don't they come from another planet? They will leave when this farce is over anyways." "Huh? What are you both talking about? Who is here?" Jane asked as she heard this conversation. "Nothing. Just talking about a friend," John replied, trying to deflect the topic. "Is there another person from another universe?" Coulson, who too heard their conversation, asked. "No. Just a person of interest." John denied it. "You will see him when the time is right." Coulson didn't force to know more, as it would be useless. So Coulson ordered the agents to be on the lookout for a suspecting individual. John and others stayed in their place as Jane and Eric continued to ask more information. Darcy was more interested in John. Her enthusiasm was too overwhelming even for John, but he was polite, as in future she has a role during the event of WandaVision. After few minutes of talking with them, John said, "Let's go to meet him. He might have calmed down now," John said at the end. They went to the room where Thor was staying put while Diana and John went to check Mjolnir to see if Loki was trying to pick up the hammer. As they came to the place that Loki was not there, probably he had already left after trying for few seconds. Loki knew better that no matter how hard he tried he wouldn't be able to lift the hammer if he wasn't worthy. Coulson too followed them after making sure there was nobody was in the premises. John really was amazed by the magic of Loki. His illusions were really powerful, as he never got noticed. "Do you want to try picking it up?" John said to Diana. "Sure. Why not?" Diana said, and the next moment she jumped from the ramp towards the hammer. She touched Mjolnir for few seconds, but there was no reaction. John felt maybe she wasn't worthy, as there was no environmental reaction like the time when Thor tried to lift the hammer. But the very next moment, as she tried picking the hammer, it was easily lifted up. Everybody who was watching her were surprised. All this time almost all agents tried to lift it up but couldn't even move a centimeter, and now there is a woman who could easily lift it up. Coulson was stuck for a second but accepted the fact because he felt only gods can handle other gods. Humans were still weak. "Do you feel anything different?" John asked. "I can now use electricity to fight. But in a more better way than when I fought Oz. This hammer is terribly well balanced," Diana lamented. Heimdall, who just had a chat with the new King Loki, was dumbfounded for a second. It's been years when he started seeing weird beings appearing in Midgard. He even informed Odin about it, but Odin only said not to worry about it. Now he saw a woman who could lift the hammer. He wondered if this woman would be the new Queen of Asgard if she came to claim the throne. Diana looked at the hammer for few seconds and left it in its place. Coulson was surprised by it and asked, "Don't you want to use it as a weapon?" "Hammer is not my kind of weapon. My lasso is enough. Plus, it belongs to someone else. By the way, don't tell Thor about it," Diana said. Coulson now really appreciated Diana. If what they said was real and this hammer was really very powerful, it was commendable that she wasn't tempted by its power. Then again, she herself was a god with a powerful weapon. After few more minutes of talking and lingering around, Jane and others decided to go back to their place. Thor didn't have a home in Earth, so accepted Jane's proposal of going back with them. John too left with Diana to a nearby hotel, as there would be a fight soon nearby. Even though John won't fight as he didn't want to expose his alchemy powers to S.H.I.E.L.D., but still he would watch it. In the meantime, Sitwell called Pierce and told him about the emergence of Diana and Thor. One Naruto world was scary enough, now there are gods. Sitwell wasn't sure of how to handle it. "Sir, I propose that we should assassinate John. He is a variable for us," Sitwell said. "Are you a fool? The people of Naruto world are dangerous enough. We have tried all means possible to entice, catch and even kill a ninja from their world, but we have been repeatedly unsuccessful for the last year. We aren't even sure if John has other powers except for dreaming. If he has other allies who he hasn't revealed yet, do you think we would be able to survive? Every single character that he has revealed possess extraordinary means. Let the Insight Project come to fruition, only then we could be relieved. Even if we kill millions, the world of Naruto wouldn't have any choice but to cooperate with us, as they need us too for sustenance. About these gods, don't they come from another planet? They will leave when this farce is over anyways. In addition, John is a consultant of S.H.I.E.L.D. Do you think Fury will leave if there is an assassination attempt on him? Hydra isn't ready to raise its head. We are already trying to contact with the country lords of Naruto. Maybe we can extract some of Ninja's powers. So don't take any rash decision without authorization. Pierce continued. Actually, Pierce had too much confidence on Insight Project. No matter how powerful those helicarriers were, they would be destroyed by just John alone if he wanted. For this reason, John never cared about Hydra. Hydra was hidden too deep on all walks of life, poisoning the system, so even if John wanted to, he would have to face a lot of opposition while cleaning Hydra. He wanted to catch all the heads of Hydra, including Malik, Daniel Whitehall and other heads spread all over the world in a single assault. Sitwell listened to the reprimand of Pierce and couldn't refute him. But Sitwell had a feeling that in the establishment of Order of Hydra, John might be the greatest hindrance. The next few days went as peaceful as it could be in Porrent Antiguo. John joined Thor and others and talked about different things. It was Thor mostly talking about the different realms that are under Asgard. Diana felt sad hearing the stories of Thor, as the Paradise Island never had such background. If they had, they wouldn't have to be hidden for such a long time. Suddenly one fine morning the friends of Thor appeared in the doorstep of the place where Thor was living his days. John too was present at that time. Sif and others told Thor the truth about Loki and his plans. As Thor was discussing with his friends, John called Coulson. Coulson, evacuate the town, there is a fight incoming. This fight will rage the town to the ground. Fight? Is there a fight coming? How do you know about it? Who is the enemy? Coulson sounded worried. There is no time, Coulson, if you trust me just do it. The guns and weapons which you have won't be even able to scratch the enemy. Just do it fast if you don't want to see casualties. John replied. As he said that, he saw there were clouds forming in whirlpool shape. John knew that the destroyer was coming. Coulson also saw this phenomenon and chose to believe John at the end. He ordered the agents to evacuate the town as John suggested and went to the town itself to assessing the threat. Diana, you know what you have to do, John said to Diana, who was sitting beside. Yes, let me go change myself, Diana said as she walked away. Thor, you need to evacuate the people, you are immortal now, John said as they saw the destroyer, which was sent by Loki, approaching. Diana, who returned with her armor, also helped the people. The residents didn't believe them at first, but when the agents arrived and said it was from FBI, the existence of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still a secret, and their town might be under threat, only then did they leave. When the agents saw a huge iron giant walking while destroying everything in its path, did the agents take the order more seriously. Some even shot at the destroyer, but it couldn't even scratch its armor. We need a distraction for me to shove my spear into the destroyer. Maybe that will stop it, Sif suggested. Volstagg and others agreed to her suggestion. Thor, on the other hand, looked at Diana and said, "Can you help us?" "Yes, I will help you in this fight, but you need to get your powers back, otherwise you will die if you join the fight. This destruction and hatred was caused by me, I want to be in the end of it," Thor replied. Volstagg and other two of his friends approached the destroyer from front, while Sif took a different route to sneak towards the destroyer. Fandral and Horgun threw Volstagg towards the destroyer, and the destroyer, anticipating it, slapped at Volstagg with his hand. That slap was powerful enough to throw him the same direction as he came from. As the destroyer opened its face to shoot at Volstagg with its heat beam, Sif, who was on the roof of a building beside the destroyer, jumped onto it and shoved her spear through the neck of the destroyer. It stopped the destroyer and Sif felt relieved seeing it. The destroyer, which got shut down due to the spear after few moments, rotated itself and opened its face again to shoot at Sif. Sif, who thought was going to be blasted away, suddenly felt herself being drawn away from the shooting range. She saw she was being tied by a shining rope. As she turned her head, she saw her savior. It was the woman who was sitting beside Thor before when they went to meet him. "Let me join this fun," Diana said to her. Diana swung her lasso towards the foot of the destroyer. As it caught and bounded its foot, Diana pulled it strongly. It prompted the destroyer to lose its balance and fall. The next moment Diana jumped towards the destroyer with her sword and round shield. She struck the body of the destroyer with her sword, creating sparks on its wherever the sword hit. Soon there was damage being seen on the abdomen and on the hands of the destroyer. Loki, who was in Asgard, was surprised by this. He couldn't believe that in a mortal world there was a person who had so much power. Sif and her friends too were little taken aback by her power. As she was going to land another hit on the face of the destroyer, it flicked its hand towards Diana. Diana tried blocking with her hand, but the huge momentum threw her away 2 blocks away, damaging the houses on which she went through. **T. How powerful is this iron giant?" said an agent who was watching this fight scene. The destroyer got up and started healing its damage that was caused by Diana. It started walking towards the place where Diana was thrown away. Diana, who finally stood up, saw the destroyer approaching. The destroyer opened its face and shoot a beam at her. Diana saw that and immediately put up her shield. It stopped the beam from causing any bodily damage to her, but she was again thrown many feet behind, destroying the properties in its wake. As the beam stopped, Diana put down the shield. Loki, who was watching it, had a solemn look on his face. Diana took her hands far apart from each other and banged her bracelets. Boom! This caused a huge shock wave, damaging all the properties surrounding her. When it hit the destroyer, it was flown several meters. When it landed, it destroyed the gas station, causing a huge explosion. Everybody cheered when they saw it. But Diana still had a solemn look on her face, as she felt it wasn't enough to stop the destroyer. Sure enough, after the fires receded a bit, people saw the destroyer coming out of the fire. Odin really outdid himself when he made the destroyer. Didn't he? Sif said while looking at the destroyer, who was healing its damage. Everybody felt desperate, as even such a powerful blow of Diana couldn't do any damage to the destroyer. Thor, who was watching this, finally couldn't stand still. He started walking towards the destroyer. Diana, who saw this, didn't stop Thor, as she knew this was a rivalry between 2 brothers. Thor stopped near the destroyer and said, "Brother, whatever I have done to wrong you, whatever I have done to lead you to do this, I am truly sorry. Hurting these people will get you nothing, take me instead." The destroyer opened its face again to shoot a beam, but stopped finally. It turned around as if to walk away, but it did that. The destroyer hit with its backhand Thor heavily. Thor was thrown away by this huge impact. Jane rushed towards Thor and held him in his arms. "It's over. Everybody is safe," Thor said, as if it was his last breath. No, it's not over," Jane said in panic, as she felt Thor might die soon. Thor finally became unconscious after seeing the destroyer didn't continue the assault. Mjolnir, which was miles away, suddenly started shaking. The shaking intensified as it lifted up by itself. The next moment it flew fast towards Thor. Diana, who saw it from afar, ran towards Jane and lifted her up to keep her away from the force of the coming Mjolnir. The hammer flew to the hand of Thor, who was woken up by it. Soon an armor was woven on his body. Lightning flashed and came out Thor, who looked the same as he did before he was exiled. All the wounds had healed. The destroyer, who saw this, was ready to shoot a beam at Thor but was instantly knocked out by the flying engineer. "Want to finish what you started?" Thor said to Diana. "Gladly," Diana replied. "You attack from ground, I will bring him up in the air. And then we blow him up." "Sure," Diana replied. Thor flew high up in the air and started rotating the hammer. It created a whirlpool almost instantly. The whirlpool covered the destroyer. As the whirlpool started rotating fast, everything nearby got sucked into it. The destroyer tried shooting beams at Thor, but it was blocked off by Mjolnir. The winds created by the whirlpool was fast enough to lift the destroyer up. As it floated up, Diana came to the eye of whirlpool to get ready for the final attack. Thor too lined himself up to hit the destroyer and threw his hammer towards the destroyer, and Diana banged her bangles. This caused a huge surge again and stuck the body of the destroyer at almost the same moment as the surge created by Diana. The destroyer was immediately knocked down. The destroyer didn't get up after this. All finally felt relieved. John, who was watching this, was also relieved. Because he didn't want to bring out more characters to deal with it. John knew that Diana showing up might itself be a variable in Loki's preparation for the New York War, but he was ready to take the risk. John didn't want too much butterfly effect till the New York War. After that he might change the route of the story. Thor came down and thanked Diana. He needed to go back to Asgard to deal with Loki before he did something stupid. Thor called Heimdall, but there was no response. But after few moments the Bifrost finally opened. The Bifrost even took away the knocked down body of the destroyer. Thor and his friends went into the Bifrost and vanished. Thor even invited Diana to go with him to Asgard, as she herself was of God's blood. Thor wanted to know more about her and the place she came from. But Diana refused, as she wanted to be here. She had more things to do on Earth. After speaking with Coulson, John was ready to leave with Diana to New York. He needed to introduce her to Bruce and give her a place to stay. John already had a place in his mind for her to live. "How did you know that the destroyer will come and invade the town?" Coulson asked. "My dreams can sometimes look into future." "Didn't I mention this on our first conversation?" John replied. Coulson had a solemn look on his face after this but didn't say anything. "We need to assess Diana's identity," Coulson added at the end. "I remember Fury wanted to check out the Jurassic Park for risk assessment. Tell him to go over there. Diana will be staying there as a curator of the park," John said. Coulson nodded to that. The plot of Thor proceeded exactly like it was supposed to, with Loki falling into the abyss and destruction of the Rainbow Bridge. Even though John didn't participate in it, he had hoped that the plot won't change, as Loki was required to deal with Kang. The next day John and Diana reached New York. After reaching, they went straight to Bruce's place. When Diana entered Bruce's apartment, she saw Alfred and immediately felt happy. "It's nice to see you again, Alfred." "Miss Diana. Welcome to this world. How have you been?" Alfred said with a genuine smile. "I am fine." "Where is Bruce?" Diana asked. "He is in his lab." Diana went to the underground lab. John provided Bruce with a huge lab and necessary equipment. Now Bruce doesn't stay with Tony much, as Tony now had a girlfriend and he didn't want to be in an awkward position. Tony too understood, so didn't say anything. Now they both carry out their research in their respective labs while cooperating when required. As Diana went to the new Batcave, Bruce too received the notification. He was happy to see an old comrade again. They talked about lot of things about the past, and Bruce even said about the extra memory which he had of Darkseid. Diana was also shocked when she heard all this. It's fine now. Darkseid isn't in this world. You don't need to worry about him. John said as he listened to their conversation and added, Diana, we need to go to the place where you will live. Fury will come soon so we can go with him together. As the three were talking, John received a text. I have a surprise for you. Surprise? What surprise? John replied via text. Guess where I am? Came the question. New York. John texted as his eyes went big with expectation. Yes. I am about to check out. Want to pick me up? Emma messaged him. We'll be there in a few minutes, John texted and hurriedly left. John sat on the car and said, B, take me to the airport as fast as possible. B drove to the airport quite fast without breaking the speed limit. As John went out of his car, he saw Emma standing while hiding her face, wearing a mask as she didn't want to be recognized by people. John came near her and said, That was quite a surprise. The shooting ended day before yesterday. So after packing myself I took the flight. You promised me you will take me to Jurassic Park when I come to NY. So now I am here. You came to NY so that you can visit Jurassic Park and not me. I am hurt, John said with mock sadness. Ha! Twisting my words. Of course I missed you. Emma said as she kissed him. John responded to her kiss. Let's go before people recognize us. John said and took her hand and led to the car. Let's go back to my home. I will introduce you to my father and Val. Are you sure about it? Emma said with hesitation. Why? Aren't you my girlfriend already? John asked her with seriousness. He felt for a second that he might have crossed the line in this regard, but her next words relieved her. Of course I am your girlfriend, but is it okay to meet you, father? He kind of scares me. Sorry. Cringe. Ha ha ha, you don't have to worry about it. Dad always listens to me. John said, being relieved. It's been almost 2 years they had been dating, and John wanted to introduce her to his family. John and Emma reached his home and went inside. Val was present as usual, taking care of the house. John introduced her to Val. Valentina was very happy that John had brought a girl. She used to think John probably would die single after watching his lifestyle, but finally saw hope. John took her to the guest room and allowed her to fresh herself after a long flight. After an hour or so, Emma came out looking fresh and wet hair. John, who was sitting in the family, saw her in that look and almost melted in his seat. Emma sat beside him and he couldn't stop himself from kissing her. Jameson still had couple of hours left to return, so they started talking. Emma was excited about the Jurassic Park and she couldn't stop herself, but John remembered that Fury would join him in this expedition. Emma, what do you think of me? Like from a third person's perspective? John suddenly asked. Huh? I don't understand. What do you mean? She replied, being confused. For example, if you have never known me, what would you think of me? Probably a mysterious business tycoon who never shows his face. In my crew everybody wants to know more about you. You are a legend. Emma laughed. Mysterious. Maybe I am. Emma, my world is very different. My world is dangerous. More dangerous than you can imagine," he said. Emma was confused by this, so she asked, "Dangerous? You mean your relation with Tony Stark and Bruce makes you vulnerable?" Emma asked. Emma knew how politics worked. Even though John had huge influence, sometimes politics could be overwhelming. John not being a part of politics had already surprised her, so she thought John was threatened by something. "No, Emma, it's not them. People don't actually matter to me. I am trying to say about other things." "Did you watch Wonder Woman?" John said. "Yes. It's a good superhero movie." "What if I tell you Diana Prince is real?" John asked with a serious face. "Ha! Good joke, John, you almost fooled me with your serious face," Emma said with a laugh, but after a couple of seconds she saw that John had no change of face. "You gotta be kidding me. Say that it's a joke," Emma asked now with all seriousness. "I wish it was a joke, Emma, but it isn't. Diana does exist and tomorrow you will get to see her," John said. "I don't understand." "Her existing means gods once lived in Earth. If it's true, why would you make a movie on her? Isn't that exposing you in front of people if her identity gets revealed?" Emma asked. John was surprised by her thoughtfulness. "Gods exist, yes. But your notion of gods and real gods are different. About me showing her, it's because she doesn't belong to our universe." John then proceeded to explain her about his false parallel universe theory and told her it's his way of contacting the people who comes from other universes and his subsequent dreams. Emma was shaken. In fact, a part of her still didn't believe him. But John's insistence and promise of introducing her to Diana convinced her somehow. As John was explaining many things to her, Jameson returned. He saw his son talking with a girl in the family room. Even though he heard rumors of his dating in England, he never paid heed to it. But when he saw Emma talking with John, he knew that the rumors were true. "Dad, she is Emma, my girlfriend. Emma, this is my father, J. Jonah Jameson." John introduced them to each other. "Hello, Mr. Jameson, it's nice to meet you," Emma said with a hint of blush on her face. "Hello, Miss Emma. It's nice to meet you too. My son has a girlfriend now. Looks like he has grown up finally. Son, I need to talk to you in private," Jameson said with a laugh and a hint of seriousness at the end. "Private? What happened? You can speak in front of her. She knows about my secret. I just told her," John said. Jameson was surprised that Emma knew his secret. Jameson hesitated for a second and finally said, "I heard there was an incident in New Mexico. Were you involved? I saw that you went there few days ago." "Yes. There was an incident and it's resolved. Diana has appeared," John said. "What? Even she is real? No wonder you showed her connection with Batman in the movie. Next time don't be mysterious and inform me from before who will be appearing." "Dad, I am never sure who will appear. I just see my dreams and make it in reality. Not all characters I make come to this world." John shrugged and lied straight out. "So Emma, now you believe me. I don't think I would make an elaborate plan with my father to fool you," John said, looking at Emma. Emma blushed a little but didn't say anything. "Dad, I will go to Jurassic Park. Want to join?" John asked. "Hi, father. Jurassic Park? Sure. I didn't get to see them with my own eyes. Will be a short vacation for me. We can take Val too with her family." "Of course. You all should pack up. Oh yes, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. might join too, John added. S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, Jameson said as he knew John being a consultant of S.H.I.E.L.D. What is S.H.I.E.L.D.? Emma, who was listening to the conversation, asked. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a secret organization which is responsible for handling any weird situations or people. Like Diana and others. John explained. After talking for an hour or so, John and others went to rest. John even introduced her to the cube and helped her transform her mobile. They both named it Bicorn after a creature from Harry Potter books. Emma was really happy as now she had a pet that could accompany her. The next day everybody got ready. The children of Val were thrilled to see Emma as they too were fans of Harry Potter and started pestering about Harry Potter. In the end, Val somehow curbed their enthusiasm. As they reached the private hangar, they saw two black SUVs waiting for them in the hangar. Fury was standing in front of some agents and a woman standing right beside him. Morning, Fury, you must be Maria Hill. Nice to meet you. John said, surprising both Hill and Fury. You really do know a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury murmured. Hill was taken aback, but she was briefed about John before coming with Fury, so she smiled politely and said, Hello Mr. John, first time meeting I presume. And this must be the famous Miss Emma Watson. You have already heard my name and he is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hill said, trying to gain the same momentum as John. Seems like you have done your homework. My private life is a joke. John lamented. Please Mr. John, you are a consultant of S.H.I.E.L.D. If anything happens to you, not only S.H.I.E.L.D. but the world will delve into chaos. Fury said, this time justifying his invasion on the privacy of John. John shrugged but didn't say anything. John knew he should let him being monitored as he didn't want to raise eyebrows of Hydra yet. At least not before the shielding technology is made. He gritted his teeth and accepted it. The next moment two luxury cars came roaring by and stopped in front of them. From the first car Tony, Pepper and Happy stepped out, and from the next car Bruce, Diana and Alfred came out. You are late, Tony. John said. I am stuck. Do you think I care? Oh, who is this woman? Your girlfriend. Never expected you to have a girlfriend, Tony said as he saw John holding a woman's hand. Bruce. You have a girlfriend too? Tony said after noticing a woman with Bruce. She is Diana, Princess of Amazon. Bruce said before Tony could say something inappropriate. Tony shuddered after hearing this. Emma too, who was listening, trembled a bit. For normal people the notion of gods were still a huge moat to cross. You are really a demigod. Tony said after coming back to normal in couple of seconds and seemed unfazed again. Gods are just an exaggeration. I am not invincible. Diana shook her head and said. Hello Miss Diana, I am Nick Fury, Director S.H.I.E.L.D. John might have already introduced us. I hope we can have a healthy cooperation in the future. Fury said while approaching Diana. They both shook hands. I heard Bruce is a consultant of S.H.I.E.L.D. I can occupy the same position, but I don't like to be disturbed. Diana said. That's for sure. After a normal assessment you are free to do whatever you want. Fury said. Fury, I will appoint her as the curator of Jurassic Park. She is knowledgeable enough to handle the park. Tony, is that fine? John said. Sure. A demigod responsible for the park will be perfect. Even though the dinosaurs can never cause any problems for us, but she being on the top is an added security. Saying that, they all boarded into the private plane. Emma was looking at Diana and others all the way as she was the only normal person here. She had never even seen Tony up close, forget about a demigod. She was little overwhelmed. What happened? Are you okay? John asked as he felt she was little off. Your world is completely different. I thought money is all there it is for you. But money is just a small aspect of yours. I am just a normal girl. Do I fit here? Emma said with melancholy. Emma, we have all started somewhere. Tony too was just a rich arms dealer. Don't worry, being with me you two will get used to this world. You can't imagine what a normal person is capable of if that person is determined enough. John said as they sat on their seat in the plane. They soon landed on the small airport of Jurassic Park. As soon as they went out of the plane, all the people could smell the different smell in the atmosphere. Tony, who was already here before with Pepper for establishment purposes, said, "Welcome to Jurassic Park. Thanks to John and guiding their world to this place, we have perfectly integrated the dinosaurs. The T-Rex was a headache to control, but we did quite well, and we have hired several biologists to monitor the new knowledge and own ideas for enhancement of this new gene technology. Let's go to the hotel here. We have all state-of-the-art facility and clean energy being provided everywhere. We made sure we don't pollute the environment while balancing the ecology." They all proceeded to the hotel while Tony took Diana to the curator's office and quarters as she was appointed immediately after arriving. The rest went to the hotel. Fury and Hill were just here to inspect the park, and they would leave immediately after a proper inspection. They even brought some scientists from S.H.I.E.L.D. It was from the agents that Fury brought that John saw two acquaintances. Gemma Simmons and Leopold Fitz. The two scientists who were cursed. John was always intrigued by their love story. Even though John saw them, he didn't approach them. Only after supposed death of Coulson would their story progress. He didn't want to intervene now. By this John was reminded of Sky and Afterlife. I will have to deal with it too. Does it mean Black Bolt and other Inhumans exists and live at Moon? John speculated on this but threw these thoughts away in the back of his head. What happened in Moon didn't really matter to him as there were very few Inhumans left. But Sky required other approach as she was way too powerful and lived on Earth. They all went to the hotel while Fury and others followed to the laboratories and the sites of the park. It was a presidential suite for all and everybody loved it. No matter what, Tony had an eye for luxury and comfort. They all took rest for an hour or so, but John had to go out with Emma as she was too much excited to see the dinosaurs. At first they went to the open park where all the herbivore dinosaurs gazed around in peace and harmony. Emma was awestruck. Even though John guided the world of the dinosaurs here, it was the first time for him too to see the dinosaurs. Again he felt very lucky to have such a wonderful life, even though this life was full of dangers, but everything made it worth. They spent on that open park for the entire day and decided to see the other dinosaurs later. The next day everybody banded together to see the dinosaurs. They spent the whole day watching the dinosaurs. The kids of Val were very happy as the animals which were supposed to be dead millions of years ago were alive again. Fury and others left after one day of assessment and even talked with Diana while making a report. Diana was very happy as the island was secluded and this reminded her of her home. John and others lived for 4 more days and left for NY again as John had to finish his works on upcoming movies and had meetings with gaming companies. John wanted to bring some game characters to life. Emma too left for England after a day in NY as she had to do some reshoots for Harry Potter movie. John got busy and introduced his gaming ideas with the established gaming companies. John made sure that the games would be brought out in perfect condition and not half-baked games. John would be the sole producer of the games so that the upper management wouldn't interfere in the creative design. He knew that such a thing would take more time, but he was not going to negotiate when it came to fan values. The better the game is, the higher the fan values will be. And he wanted to make sure of it. He gave the gaming companies 3 RPG games to work upon and allowed them to take as much time as possible for creating them. By this year, which was 2011, John had introduced many new animes like One Piece, Bleach, Pokemon and other famous animes from his previous life. Fury trembled when he saw the animes before, and he even asked if their worlds would merge, but John gave a very vague answer to it. John knew the amount of fan values required to bring characters and worlds to Earth are huge, and he hadn't decided which world to bring. He wanted to save the fan values for emergency purposes, and he had a very vague idea of which world he wanted to bring next so that it can boost his fan values by a massive scale. John had scheduled the release of a new limited series and a movie by the end of the year. This was his last preparation before the New York War. Even if there were variables in the war, there was the world of Naruto to handle the situation. John didn't want to expose too much of Naruto world, as that might inspire fear in people instead of being fans. The story of X-Men from his previous life was educational enough. He brought Naruto world for security purposes and handle emergency situations. The main heroes on the upcoming war would still be from DC. On November, a new superhero series was released in Netflix, owned by John. The series talked about a rich playboy who got stuck in an island for 5 years when he and his father went for a sail in the sea. He's returned 5 years later as a changed person and became a vigilante who fights crime. Yes, it was the story of Green Arrow of DC. John needed this story to introduce another version of Ra's al Ghul, even though he actually didn't need it as he could always extract him from the Batman movie, but he wanted to show the people about the power of Ra's al Ghul. People loved the series as this story was kind of the story of Iron Man and Bruce Wayne. People expected this character too to be real after the emergence of Batman. So John gained a lot of fan values due to it. This surprised John a bit, but understood why it happened. After a month, the scheduled superhero movie finally came out. Everybody came for the premiere, including Emma, as Harry Potter was released in the previous month of November. As Bumblebee arrived at the premiere, John and Emma came out while holding hands together. This was the first appearance in public together, and John was happy to put end of endless gossips of his hidden relationship with Emma. So how does it feel to be in a superhero premiere? Do you want to act as a superhero later? John asked her in a hushed tone. Are there any women superheroes like Diana? If there is, I would love to act as such a character, Emma said with a smile. I don't know. Maybe my dreams of other worlds would guide me later, John said. After giving a short interview, everybody went for the movie. Even Diana traveled to watch the movie as she didn't know who this new superhero was that belonged to her world. Bruce knew who he was but didn't reveal. The movie started exactly where the last post-credits scene from Wonder Woman ended. The pilot, who was in a simulated environment, flew away while being covered in green light. The enclosed simulated room stopped near a crashed spaceship where he saw an alien creature in blood. The pilot ran towards the alien and tried to lift him up, but the alien said, "No. It's all right. My time has come. You can speak English?" The pilot asked. "No. It's the ring," the alien said while showing a glowing green ring in his finger. "It has chosen you. Take it." The ring floated away and entered the finger of the pilot. The moment the ring entered the pilot's finger, a green suit appeared on his body. The suit looked realistic and cool. The movie was Green Lantern, but this movie didn't follow the Ryan Reynolds plot but the animated version called Green Lantern, The First Flight. John had thought a lot and finally decided on Green Lantern. He wanted to bring Superman much later as it would cost him loads of fan values. Green Lantern might cost a lot but he was sure it would be little less than Superman. Superman being an alien might be a challenge for people liking him at the beginning, and Green Lantern being a human being while belonging to a greater power would be able to help John raise more fan values later. You are now a Green Lantern, one of the protectors of the universe. The Guardians will send for you. Use the ring wisely. The alien died after saying that. Diana, who was watching the movie, finally remembered something, turned around and asked John the Lantern Corps. I thought everyone died in that war. They were mentioned in the Amazons' history. Did they survive? Fury and others who were nearby also heard Diana say that. Fury and Coulson, like always, came to the premiere. Diana's question piqued the interest of everyone, including Emma, as by now she knew a lot. Even if a Green Lantern dies, the ring will choose a new and worthy one. This cycle will carry on forever. So that war wasn't enough to destroy the lanterns. I understand. Diana said. What war are you both speaking of? Emma asked, now curious. Even Tony and others who listened to the conversation were curious. A war which almost erased all living beings of their freedom in their universe. John said with a solemn expression. Everybody's eyes went wide with surprise. Tony and Fury looked at Bruce. They could see Bruce clenching his fist and realized that this war was real and a tragic one. The movie continued as it showed what the Green Lantern Corps are about. They could be regarded as galactic policemen. The story revolved around the new recruit who was the pilot, Hal Jordan, and his hardships in understanding what it means to be a Green Lantern Corps. Soon the Guardians realized that there was a new element, the element of fear, which was creeping up on them. A huge conspiracy about overthrowing the Corps unearthed, and at the end it was two of their own members of the Corps that betrayed. Sinestro, who was responsible for this conspiracy, revolted against the Guardians while wearing the yellow ring of fear. Later Hal consumed the green element onto himself and defeated Sinestro. It was a massive fight which happened in the space, and people were in awe with the power of the Green Lanterns. Now it was time for the post-credit scene. John made very sure that all these movies are linked and they had subtle reference to the previous superhero movies and that all of them belong to same world. The audience couldn't understand why they were shown in this way, but they didn't think much on it. The post-credits scene showed a lighthouse which was being drenched in severe rainstorm. The man in charge of lighthouse was trying to get his windows shut when he saw a woman in a very beautiful white dress lying unconscious on the edge of the sea in steep rocks. The man went to save the unconscious woman, and that's where the credits scene stopped. Diana and Bruce thought of something and suddenly remembered and almost said immediately together, Atlantis. Yes. John said with a smile. Atlantis. The Lost Kingdom. It exists in your world. Well, Zeus exists in your world, what of Atlantis? Tony, who heard their conversation, said in a hushed tone. Everybody was surprised a bit after hearing the name of Atlantis, but didn't ask much as John wouldn't say more even if asked. Fury felt relieved after watching the movie. He felt even if a Green Lantern comes, he won't only be responsible for Earth. He would be like Carol Danvers traveling the universe. After the movie ended, everybody came out, but Tony asked the most crucial question at the end. Is he coming? Everybody were eagerly seeing John. After Diana, everybody understood that a new superhero movie meant that there would be a new guy entering the universe. Most probably, but I am not sure when. John said. They all were. Emma stayed over in New York for the Christmas and New Year with John and had a good time together. John was happy too, as the upcoming years won't be peaceful as it had been till now. After a week into January, Emma was ready to leave as she had her studies to complete. Be safe out there. Bicorn take care of her. John said as he came to see her off. Yes. You too, be safe. We'll miss you. See you soon. Emma replied. We'll miss you too. Bye. Ding. Total fan values, 1.6 billion. Fan value required to bring Green Lantern to life, 220 million. There is still few months for Loki to arrive. Let him come, then I will decide if I should let him show up or not. John had already made all necessary preparations. His home and the office of Daily Bugle had already moved away from Stark Tower. He had started working on a new animated series, but instead of consulting the Japanese studios, he thought about creating it from Disney itself, as the series in his original world was created in US itself. It would take a year for the series to come out, but was looking forward for the character to realize itself in the world. John even had a new superhero movie scheduled by the end of the year. April 2012. In the Project Pegasus facility, which was jointly in operation with NASA and S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury landed from the helicopter with Maria Hill. He was here because there was evacuation protocol being triggered, as the Tesseract had a sudden energy surge and nobody was able to control this energy surge. For years Fury had been trying to weaponize the Tesseract, which could help him defend Earth against any unknown enemy in the universe. After the emergence of Naruto's world and Destroyer, he was more adamant on this. Even though Naruto's world never showed any aggression, but the World Council didn't feel safe about another unknown world living with them. But today he got the news that the Tesseract was acting up, so he came to see what triggered this. Who turned the Tesseract on? Fury asked. Coulson, who was running point on this matter, said. Sir, it turned itself on. Selvig wasn't even in the room when it triggered itself. When Selvig couldn't shut it down, we ordered evacuation. How long will it take for evacuation? Sir, it will take half an hour for full evacuation. Do better and he'll take away all the equipment for Phase 2. Pack it and ship it, Fury said. Fury went to the lab where the Tesseract was kept and talked with Selvig and even with Clint. Clint suggested that it was probably not them who triggered the Tesseract, but another party on another side. The story of Loki's emergence was exactly the same as it was supposed to happen. Loki with his scepter controlled Clint and Selvig. Sir, director is stalling for time, he wants to bury us, Clint said to Loki. He is right, the portal is collapsing in itself. This will bury everything, including us and the surroundings. We have only 2 minutes, Selvig added. The very next moment Clint shot at Fury. And Selvig took the box of Tesseract. Loki and other controlled agents went out. By that time almost all personnel were either evacuated or were in their way for evacuation. Maria Hill, who was prompted by Fury to stop Loki and others from escaping but failed to do so and had to give a car chase to stop them in the tunnel that led outside the whole facility. Fury was able to go above ground and take a chopper to escape. There was an intense car chase between Loki and Maria Hill, but Loki's car was able to get out of the tunnel. And at the meantime, due to the collapse of the portal, the whole facility was collapsing constantly. Maria, who was trying to get out of the tunnel, saw a huge concrete slab falling into her from up. She knew that she would die in the next moment, as there was no way she would be able to survive the fall. But what happened next surprised her. As the concrete block was falling, they were stopped by a huge purple-colored structure. On closer look, it looked like a huge hand shining in blue light. She turned around to see the source of this huge hand, only to see several agents covered and surrounded by huge structures that looked like rib cage of a person. On closer look, she saw a man whose one eye was covered by hair. She knew who saved her. It was Sajuk with his Susanoo. Even though she knew about the Susanoo, but seeing the real deal up close was totally different than what the anime showed. She got down from the car and entered the Susanoo. "Thank you," Maria said. All the agents who were saved were in awe and gratefulness in their face. Even though she had doubts about Sajuk's presence in such a hidden base, but didn't say anything as Sajuk just saved her life. Sajuk nodded at her and didn't say anything. He started walking while removing the rubble with his Susanoo, while keeping the agents enclosed inside the Susanoo. After a couple of minutes they came out of the tunnel, only to see that 100 meters away Fury's chopper on which he had escaped was crash landing after being hit by Loki's energy beam from the scepter. Sajuk, who saw that after coming out of the rubble, instantly vanished from his spot. He came near where the chopper was going down and activated his Susanoo to catch the helicopter from falling down. The Susanoo instantly stopped the descent and slowly let the helicopter down, saving everybody including the pilot. Fury was relieved to see that he was safe, but on guard too, as he wasn't sure why Sajuk was here even though Sajuk saved him. This base was secured and a top-level secret. But he finally managed to say, "Thank you for saving. You tried to control a power that couldn't be controlled. You have put humanity in danger, Fury." Sajuk replied. Fury didn't refute Sajuk, as he knew that trying to control the Tesseract was a danger in itself, but he needed to take the risk. Fury put on the radio and immediately ordered for high-level emergency. Loki, who was looking from far, saw the Susanoo. He was surprised by this and asked Clint, "What is that?" From the far view it seems it's probably Susanoo from a guy named Sajuk. They belong to another world and they are really powerful. It will be your main hindrance in taking over Earth, Clint said in a straight face. They? What is this new world you are speaking about? Loki was intrigued now. They belong to a new world which got merged to Earth few years ago. They are powerful ninjas with powers that can destroy cities and even Earth if they feel like it. The World Council, which is responsible for S.H.I.E.L.D., is in a cooperative relationship with them, Clint replied. New world? When the hell did that happen? Heimdall never told anything about it. Are you sure of what you speaking is the truth? Loki didn't believe at first. I have gone to their world and I have seen a glimpse of their powers, so trust me on this. But they might not intervene in the invasion as they never really cared about Earth. Just don't antagonize them until you are sure you can obliterate them. They might not just care about you if you are lucky enough. Loki now had a weird look in his face. Even though he hasn't seen this so-called new world, he felt a little fear. Though he wasn't sure if this new world was an illusion, but that whole blue-colored body projected by a man gave him chills, especially his eye. He could see his eye from a distance and that eye had weird sign on it, and he felt extreme fear from that. Even that guy who ordered him to come to Earth didn't infuse that much fear into him. But Loki knew he couldn't turn back now. Let it be. I hope this new world doesn't interfere. As long as I can conquer Earth, the so-called world won't be far away. Fury on the other side saw Loki escape. He couldn't help but ask Sajuk. If he is a threat to humanity, why wouldn't you stop him? He asked. It's your problem, Fury. You created this mess, solve it yourself. Some people need a wake-up call. Earth has been silent for a long time now. Sajuk, who was walking away, didn't even turn his head when he said that. John, who was at his home after coming from work, got a reminder from Sajuk that the Tesseract was stolen. John had let Sajuk scour the US for finding the Pegasus Project facility during the start of the year. In 3 months' time Sajuk found it and John told him to monitor the facility. And as it was supposed to happen, the Tesseract was taken away by Loki. So the war has come. I have been waiting for it in a long time. Will the butterfly affect this war? Well, whatever, I will overcome it as it comes. This will be a great time to gather massive fan values. Natasha was being held by a Russian general when she got a call from Coulson. And the plot happened almost the same as original, but there was a difference. She did it faster than the original, as she used 2 kunai which she hid inside her dress. She threw 2 kunai towards the guards of the Russian general. This incapacitated both the guards, and before the general could react, Natasha held him upside down by binding the general's legs in chains. "Where's Barton?" Natasha said after picking up the mobile. "We don't know. But he is alive." "We need you to bring the big guy," Coulson said. "Sure, but what about the others?" Natasha asked. "Maria and I will take care of the rest," Coulson said. The next day, as John was getting ready to go to work, had an uninvited guest in the morning. "Hello, Mr. John. I would like you read this report," Maria said after coming inside the house. On the file there was Avengers Initiative written in bold letters. "Avengers? I am just an ordinary consultant. What do I have to do with Avengers?" John raised his eyebrows and said to Maria, "Please don't say that, Mr. John. You have been incredibly helpful to us. Fury thinks even if you can't fight, you will be an incredible asset for S.H.I.E.L.D. in this upcoming war," Maria said politely. "No, Fury just thinks that I am dangerous, that's why he wants me to join the Avengers," John said with a smile. Maria couldn't say anything to it, as she too knew that Fury has an unknown fear of John. She was thinking of how to convince John. "It's all right, I will come along." "Steve is awake?" "Yes?" John asked. Maria was stuck in her place, not able to move. Then she remembered from the report that John sometimes had dreams from future. "Yes, he is awake. He will join us too." "Fine, let me get ready," John said as he went inside to pick up his suitcase and instructed Val that he would be out for some time. He didn't say anything about the war, as their home was far away from Stark Tower and he would never let the war spread to whole of New York City. He got ready and left with Maria. He thought they would go to the helicarrier, but instead they went to Jurassic Park. John understood it was for Diana. After picking up Diana, they finally set en route to the helicarrier. Nick Fury, on the other hand, was in a meeting with the council. "So you are saying this Asgard has declared war on our planet?" "Not Asgard," Loki Fury replied. "We should let the ninjas handle this. They will be more capable in this. Didn't they sign the deal of being a mercenary for us?" a councilman said. "They just suffered a war. Do you think they will willingly participate in another one? And are you sure you want the people to know of their existence? We need a response team." "These people can help us," Fury retorted. "The Avengers Initiative was shut down. You want to leave the fate of human race in the handful of freaks. We have Phase 2 designed for exactly this. I am not leaving anything to anyone. We just need a response team." "Phase 2 isn't ready," Fury said. War isn't won by sentiment, director. A councilman said. No, it's won by soldiers saying that Fury left. After an hour John and others landed. As they landed they saw a familiar face. Dr. Bruce Banner. John approached him with a smile and said, "How are you, Doctor?" "Oh, Mr. John. It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time," Banner said. "I did see you before but we never met." "In Harlem, I was there," John said. "You know about the guy who fought?" Banner was astonished and asked. "You should watch more of my movies and series, Mr. Banner. This is Diana Prince, Princess of the Amazon," John said as he introduced Diana to Banner. "Princess? Wait. Amazon? You got to be kidding me. She is a real person and daughter of Zeus." Banner was surprised. "I am surprised that you watched my movies, Doctor," John said. "I didn't, but Natasha asked me to watch the movie on the way here. I didn't understand then. Natasha did say that some of your works are based on real stories. I guess I understand now. So gods are real. Seems like I am not the only freak in this world," Banner said with a sigh. "Doctor, this universe has more freaks than you can imagine," John said. That's it, guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel. And also tell me in the comment section down below if you have any recommendation. Thanks for watching.